Hello everyone. Today I want to talk about something very important, and that's what's happening in Japan. It's all over the news. The workers in the nuclear facilities and by the reactors are trying to frantically prevent the nuclear fuel rods from continuing to overheat, which can cause a meltdown and release radiation. And, it's just a remarkable feat of human bravery and dedication to continue to work there despite all the risks involved, and frantically work, around the clock to do whatever they can to prevent this disaster from happening. Now, this is nothing new. Post-nuclear technology from when it was invented, which is not that long ago, we've had two other situations in the world, such as Chernobyl, which was a disaster. The people that worked there tried frantically to stop it. And it's just unbelievable because they knew what was going to happen. And it was like a sacrifice. They were sacrificing their lives to do whatever they possibly can, to prevent what was happening. And many may have known that there's very little chance that there's anything they can do. And many of them were still at their posts, when the disaster happened and continued to unfold. And they didn't make it. And, then of course we had something not long ago in this country, which was very close to being a disaster in 3 Mile Island. Again, the workers, such dedication, bravery, to continue to work and do whatever they possibly can to contain the danger and stop the radiation from coming out, to stop the meltdown from the overheating fuel rods. And now, of course, we have a similar situation in Japan. Now, this one was caused by a natural disaster, which was beyond man's control. This was a tsunami, which was caused by an earthquake. In 3 Mile Island, that was human error. In Chernobyl, that was human error. Despite what happened in all three situations around the world, a similar effort is being done to stop it from happening. Now, we all hope that they're going to do whatever they can to stop it. But this also brings up a question. Should nuclear technology still be pursued? Should more reactors continue to be built around the world because of the soaring demand for energy? Let's face it, the planet is, expanding with people. There are over 6 billion people on this planet. Populations are increasing, and with that comes the demand for energy, And there's something else to consider. It's not just the amount of people, it's also emerging countries. You have standards of living which are increasing. And when you have an increased standard of living, more people are using energy. When people's standard of living is higher, they use more energy. And this energy demand has to be met. And nuclear energy is a very important part of modern society. A huge amount of nuclear energy is used by the world population. Look at France. Most of France is powered by nuclear power. All right? And we see it in Japan. This country, United States, uses nuclear power. So, it's efficient. They say it's even cheaper than oil and gas in certain ways. And, it's something that they say is even cleaner in a way. It's cleaner than coal-fired plants as far as the pollutants and the chemicals that come from coal-fired plants and other forms of energy, such as gasoline, natural gas, which also has to be made from fossil fuels. So, the question remains, should nuclear facilities continue to be built around the world? Now, when you pose this question, you also have to look at the risk-reward. You have to look at the risk-reward ratio. And you have to do a risk-reward analysis. You have to figure out, is the reward worth the risk? Okay? Let's face it. The Middle East, very unstable. And as a result of that, oil is even coming at a higher price right now, all right, which is causing all kinds of problems. It's causing inflation. So the question is, there is a tremendous demand for energy. There's a need for energy. And there's a lot of countries that don't have access to fossil fuels, or it's difficult for them to get them. It has to be refined. And, nuclear power is an option for them. But there is a very high risk. And it's over the long term, of course. You don't see these things happening every day. But there's a lot of threats to it. You have natural threat, all right, such as a tsunami, earthquakes, and then you have, human error, and then there's terrorism too to worry about. So you have to look at all these things together, and you have to do a risk-reward analysis. You got to figure out if it's worth it, and there's only one way to do it. This isn't about a state. This isn't about a country. This isn't even about a continent. It's mankind. Mankind has to vote. Over 6 billion people have to vote, and they have to vote if they are willing to take the risk to sign on the dotted line and say, you know what? Nuclear power is worth the risk. It's worth the risk even if a natural disaster may happen. Even if a disaster may happen, okay? It's worth the risk to have it because we need the energy. The energy is needed. And let's face it, we're not talking about America here where people just waste oil. They waste energy like crazy. Japan is pretty conservative. They're pretty conservative with energy. You don't see Hummers and these big, huge cars driving around in Japan. You don't see that kind of stuff. They're more conservative than Americans with their energy use. Okay? And still, they need nuclear power. All other forms of energy is just not enough, even for the Japanese. And for other countries around the world, such as France, like I mentioned. So obviously, it's a source of energy that's needed. And people are saying, oh, yeah, should we focus more on green? It's just a pie in the sky. How many times do you read about this stuff? I mean, how much have they been talking about electric cars? How many electric cars do you see on the road? How many houses do you see covered with solar panels and windmills in their backyard? I mean, I heard that if you even cover your house with solar panels all over the place, you're going to get 60% of the energy that you need. It's just not efficient. You can't talk about pie in the sky stuff. You got to talk about what you have available right now, right? Which can fuel the demand. The demand is now. You can't look at the future. You can't say, oh, what we might have. Let's look at that. You got to look at right now, okay? When people don't have energy, you have a crisis. Serious crisis economically, all right? People can't get what they need when you have transportation crisis, I mean, look what happened in Russia, right? In the early part of the 1900s. They say part of it was a transportation crisis, which is what caused the revolution. One of the things. So, transportation depends on energy. Energy is very important and something we need now. It's an immediate need. It's not something we might have. So that is the question. Mankind must vote. They have to get the entire world to vote to say, look, we're willing to take the risk. What do you think? I'd like to know what you think about this serious question. Should we consider to continue to build nuclear facilities? Please leave your comments, rate this video, and thank you for tuning in.